So my path was actually kind of an opportunistic one. I didn't grow up thinking about private equity. I didn't know what private equity was. Both my parents are actually doctors in the public system in Brazil, which is where I'm from. And so I didn't know anything about finance. And I actually went to university to study international politics and thought I was going to be a diplomat. And in the way of in the way of internships and some experiences, I realized that maybe the public sector wasn't necessarily for me early on in my career. And so maybe I should explore the private sector. And I was very lucky that this was a period in the economic time when banks were hiring anyone, even someone who didn't know what EBITDA was, which was definitely me. And I landed a role at Merrill Lynch in New York. And through that exposure, I started working with private equity clients and realizing that they build, very strong, deep relationships with management teams, and then partnered with them, in some cases to create value within companies, whether that was through M&A, whether that was through increased investment in things like technology. And I thought that was pretty cool, that you could work in lots of different industries, you could work alongside management teams, and you could use your capital and your influence to make companies better. There are lots of things actually about my current role that are really exciting. From a day job investor perspective, I love being an investor. As I said before, the opportunity to work alongside incredible entrepreneurs that are really disrupting massive sectors that have big pain points is just really incredible to watch. It's incredible to watch people growing businesses, deepening their moat, their product, and changing the way that we live, the way we work, the way we take vacation, and all of that on a day-to-day basis really keeps you learning, even when you've done this, for 15 or so years. And then I also like running my team and being with my teammates, thinking about what is the right strategy for us at any point in time, huddling with my partnership and thinking about our own hiring strategy and thinking about our own fundraising strategy. And so that operating piece, I also find super exciting. Yes. I'd say there's no very typical day, though it is a combination of either, getting on a plane or train or a car or bus to see an entrepreneur and get to know them, or to attend a board meeting and talk about what are the key strategic objectives for the company. It could also be meetings with our own team in the office to discuss our prioritized subsectors, to think about what are the companies we really want to spend time with and think would make great investments. It might also include raising our own money for our own fund, so going on the fundraising trail and speaking to our own investors, either to try to get more capital or to just build a relationship with them. Of course, it could include recruiting on the hiring front, which is something that we're still spending time doing. So meeting candidates, discussing with our partnership the candidates. So it can include any of those few things. The first and foremost thing for me is someone who has hustle in them, and who is willing to work hard, because most people I meet, young people, they tend to be very bright, and they have all the tools, right? Even if they sometimes don't have the technical tools because that wasn't their background or they don't have experience, they're bright and that they could pick it up. But whether you pick it up or not and whether you succeed or not is really to do with your willingness to spend time and to really struggle with the harder parts, and to across the board just hustle to always be meeting the best teams, spending time with your teammates and making that high energy and positive, and then also enduring some of the harder parts of the job, right? For us, we tend to invest in businesses that are still maturing, and that is never goes only one way. There are difficult moments. But if you're willing to work hard and put in the time and you're really passionate about what you're doing, then that to me has been the single factor that differentiates people who've done extremely well from those who haven't. It is a it is such I think this job is such a blessing in many ways, because you really are, at least within sort of technology and growth, which is what I do, which is I guess what I can speak to, but also private equity, where I observe my colleagues here at EQT. Again, no day is ever the same. And you get to work with several companies, and all of them are trying to disrupt a piece of the pie, of their own pies, whether it's in financial services, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in secondhand fashion. And that always is so intellectually stimulating and interesting. And then I think it's just your ability to add value where you can, to help, with a great hire, or to help structure a great pay package to enable someone to get that great hire, or whether it is thinking about M&A, and helping the company capitalize that, think about the strategic opportunities for that, help them get something over the line. And so in many ways, your brain is always going in many different directions with things that are super interesting. And also, it's a team sport, which is why I really like private market investing. You really, succeed as a team and fail as a team. And so if you like people, and if you like that team element, it's something that all the great investment firms have and really rely on, which also keeps it very human. At the end of the day, there's that expression, right, that all your assets go up and down the elevator every day, and I think that is very true of private investing. Yes. So I think I do a few things. I do a lot of mentoring, whether that's individual or group mentoring. I think women need different kinds of support at different points in their career, which to me is really sort of pre and post kids, is how I see it, is the different kind of advice and support you need. So I do a bit of that. I also sit on a subcommittee for a nonprofit that supports women in private equity called Level 20, where we, put together events, networking events, materials, research, and also engage the big private equity firms who are some of the sponsors in some of the things that might help not only acquire but also retain talent. And then finally, of course, I'm part of a team in growth or private equity that hires and tries to retain women. So I try to sort of live out some of the principles that I put out there, and some of the things that I've observed in my career. I try to put them in action within EQT Growth. Yes. So we've talked about work hard. So I think that goes without saying. The second one, and I always think about this one because I got this advice my first day during my internship at Merrill Lynch many years ago, which was don't get cynical. And I didn't quite know what it meant at the time. But what it means to me now is that in the workplace, many things will happen that could upset you and could harden you. But take every situation with, just some gratitude, humility, and shake things off, right? And don't let those things make you so cynical that you stop appreciating the joy in the little things. So that would be, I think, my two. And then my third my third, I guess, if I had to give a third, which you asked for, would be to try to find an environment. And this might not be your first, second, third, or fourth try, but try to find an environment where you can really be yourself. I think oftentimes, especially women, try to change themselves to, succeed places. But I think increasingly there are more and more places that actually are great for different kinds of women, and women want all sorts of things. But don't assume that that doesn't exist. Really try to do your own due diligence, to make sure that you can find that maybe on the first try, or not over too many.